For the love of all that is holy, please stop wearing fragrance to the gym. Let's just call a duck a duck. Blind buying can be fun. I feel like fragrance content makes it feel like everybody needs to own 500, 1,000 bottles of perfume. And I just don't believe that that is necessary for everybody. And fragrance never, ever makes up for poor hygiene. I don't know who lied to you. Fragrance does not make up for skipping showers, forgetting to put on deodorant, or poor hygiene. Like, it doesn't forgive any of those things. Today I'm going to talk about how I choose fragrances. I'm going to talk about where I cap off my collection. I'm doing this not only to sort of get it off my chest, but also maybe to share with somebody else who is also a fragrance enthusiast who wants to participate in their own scent journey, but is using YouTube sort of as a guide on that journey. But I'm here to tell you, you don't have to do what YouTubers are doing. So my first fragrance philosophy, or a rule that I've set in place for myself, is my fragrance collection has always been under 100 bottles of fragrance. And I want that to remain true indefinitely. For my personal sanity, I don't want all of my fragrances out for display. I don't want to have to dust them. I don't want to think about how to categorize and organize them. And I as a human don't enjoy having a ton of excess. I store my fragrances within 2 or 3 drawers of my dresser where I keep my clothes, and my husband stores his in the top drawer of his dresser. I don't want to look at them all the time. I really don't. That's weird. Also, I feel like this reduces decision fatigue. I have analysis paralysis on 100 other different things I have to do in a day. I don't want my fragrance, something that brings me joy and something that I appreciate as an art form, to bring me stress when I'm trying to figure out what to wear. I just want to know that everything that is in my collection is something that I love and I know it well. I am absolutely a quality over quantity type of person. Which brings me to my second philosophy, and that is rotating out fragrance. I have a really good habit of really looking at my collection every couple of months and thinking to myself, okay, is there something that I don't find myself reaching for? If there's fragrances that are obviously not getting love or are not being held on to for sentimental reasons, or maybe they're discontinued. They're just fragrances that are taking up space, or maybe they're no longer something that is my taste anymore. That happens too. I pull it out of my collection, I put it somewhere where it's visible for maybe a week, or try to reach for it for about a week. And if it still is not resonating with me, then that's a sign that I'm going to get rid of it and I'll post it for sale somewhere. My third philosophy is discovering what your favorite fragrance categories are. If what you like is fruity florals, but fragrance reviewers on YouTube are trying to make you feel like fruity florals are signs of an immature palate, are juvenile, or you know what I'm saying. A lot of times certain genres get sort of dragged through the mud, and people who genuinely like them and it speaks to them, they feel bad about liking those fragrances. What fragrance DNA isn't overdone. Yeah, just come to terms with what you like is what you like, and that is okay because it brings you joy and you're the one that has to wear the fragrance. So don't depend on fragrance reviewers to tell you what you should and should not enjoy wearing. My next fragrance philosophy is probably a little bit controversial, but I don't care. This is just specific to me, is know when to not wear fragrance. I know there are times when fragrance is just maybe not called for. People who are sick, perhaps people with allergies, elderly, like give them a break, you know? I'm just saying, be a little bit courteous. For the love of all that is holy, please stop wearing fragrance to the gym. I know you can go ahead and unsubscribe to me now. It's fine. It's fine. Nothing personal. I vividly remember at the gym, not only was home dude like putting essential oils onto the dry sauna, and the oils that he chose were eucalyptus. So you have the hot stank of the dry sauna, and then you have this like icy cold, like camphorous eucalyptus hitting you in the face, and the two do not mix. There's sweaty bodies, there's funky shoes. It made all of us, there was like 10 of us in there, it made all of us very upset. Also, I have been around so many gentlemen wearing oud heavy fragrances to the gym, and that also is an assault on the senses. I have never gone to the gym and had been thankful that someone wore fragrance or even liked anyone's fragrance at the gym. Maybe that's judgmental. I don't know. If it is, I apologize. I'm just saying, I feel like it's one of those atmospheres, it just doesn't belong there. And fragrance never, ever makes up for poor hygiene. I don't know who lied to you. Fragrance does not make up for skipping showers, forgetting to put on deodorant, or poor hygiene. Like, it doesn't forgive any of those things. Okay. And then the next thing I want to talk about is blind buying. So this is very controversial, and I think I have said in previous videos to discourage people from blind buying. However, let's just call a duck a duck. Blind buying can be fun. I personally enjoy blind buying, but I encourage you to calculate the risk. However, I have been burned more than a handful of times not using a lot of wisdom with blind buying. You can really love a fragrance reviewer's channel and their content and their perspective on fragrance and still not align with liking the same things that they like. I don't smell things the same way that you do, just like we all don't see color the same way. And if you don't believe me, go sit in front of a bunch of paint swatches and tell someone to pick out the color teal, and I guarantee you 3 different people will pick out a different color. So it's the same when it comes to fragrance. Just because someone says this is a citrus fragrance, you might be like, that vanilla is slapping me in the face. How is this a citrus fragrance to you? So all that to say, blind buying has come back to bite me, certainly. Do I still find blind buying fun? Sure. Would I encourage somebody else, perhaps dipping their toe into the fragrance world, to blind buy anything, especially at full retail value without sampling? I would not. Which leads me into sampling. This past year, I have really developed an appreciation for sample sets. I think every single brand should have discovery sets available, not just for your top sellers. I think that you should have options to build your own discovery set, or you should offer a discovery set that has your entire collection available in it, so that the buyer doesn't have to purchase 3 different discovery sets from your brand in order to experience everything that your brand has to offer. I feel like that is very insulting to the buyer, and I think it's very unnecessary. A lot of brands, which I really enjoy, end up having a voucher. So if you say if you purchase a discovery set for $50 from a brand, then they will then turn around and deduct $50 from a full bottle of fragrance the next time that you come back to purchase, once you discover the one that you love. And I think that is a beautiful concept. I think it respects the customer, and I also think that it is just smart. Sampling, in my opinion, just makes purchasing fragrance anxiety-free. So that's all that I have for you today, guys. I'm filming in the evening, so that's why the lighting is a little bit different, but I hope you enjoyed this sit-down, casual, chatty sort of video. I just want to let somebody out there off the hook that you don't need a library of fragrance. You need to buy groceries, and you need to make rent. Those are the things that you need to do. You need to put gas in your car. You need to go to the doctor, those types of things. Keep yourself healthy. You don't need fragrance. It is an amenity, and you do not need to go broke in order to appreciate this hobby. So I'm curious, do you have any rules that you put in place for yourself, whether it applies to fragrance or buying anything else in your life? And if you want to see the fragrances that I actually wear the most, I'll go ahead and leave a card up here. But other than that, thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.